Hey everybody, today I'm going to talk about the iPhone 5S and how Verizon broke it and now they won't fix it. I'm here to complain. If any of you guys have had any troubles with this situation, post below because I've searched the web and I haven't found anything. So I'm the only one and they're not willing to pay for my phone. So kind of pisses me off. Verizon. People that have Verizon, they have to have Verizon because they're the only service they can get, and they can, not do anything or not give a shit, and nobody can do anything about it. I had an iPhone 5S. This is my iPhone 5S. I bought an iPhone 6 Plus when it came out because they're awesome. My iPhone 5S I turned off, put on the shelf for selling later. Started up my 6 Plus, got it activated, worked fine. 3 weeks later, I go to sell my iPhone 5S. Okay, so you come up to the menu screen when you first start up your phone. You hit English, you hit United States. Okay, so here we are. Comes up with this message, basically saying the SIM is not valid. It says the SIM card that you currently have installed in this iPhone is from a carrier that is not supported under the activation policy that is currently assigned by the activation server. This is not a hardware issue with the iPhone. Please insert another SIM card from a supported carrier or request that this iPhone be unlocked by your carrier. Please contact Apple for more information. I went to sell this on Craigslist twice and this happened. And I assumed, the first guy, I thought, oh, he's just fucking around with me. He doesn't really have a working SIM card. And the first guy didn't. He brought in a SIM card that was not connected to a Verizon account. He didn't want to connect to a Verizon account. He just wanted to buy the phone, but he wanted proof of activation, which doesn't really make any sense anyways. So that's the message that pulls up anytime you try to activate it on any SIM card. You have to pull the SIM card out just to get into the interior of the phone. I know quite a bit about iPhones and iPads. I know how to jailbreak them. I know a little bit about flashing them. This phone has never been jailbroken or flashed. If it had been, I would have known about it. The iOS was updated. I think it was iOS 7 with the 5S. It had all the features I wanted, and by the time the jailbreak came along, I was just too bored to jailbreak it because it worked just fine, so just leave it alone. It's a lot of work. It is actually a lot of work to keep up with the latest jailbreak. I took the phone to Verizon, and here's what they told me. The first person I talked to said, I was talking to one, and I'm not blaming all Verizon employees, but the first Verizon employee I was with, she was trying to help me and everything. And the second one, she was the manager, and she was a bitch. She accused me of stealing the phone. She accused me of flashing the phone, and she repeatedly just kept on going on with this several times throughout a court. This was the Verizon store above the Apple store in Spokane, if you know the area. So I took it to 4 different Verizon stores. They couldn't get it working. They swapped out. It was like 4 or 5 SIM cards. They're just popping SIM cards. They're like, I don't understand why it's not working. It has to work. It's going to work. And they couldn't get it working. So I took it to Apple. Apple plugged it into one of their iPads and they pulled it up on their system and they said, oh, well, the reason this phone won't activate over here is because it is locked overseas. So basically when you go overseas, you can have your account have a fairly, instead of getting roaming charges, you can go overseas and you can use your phone over there. Well, somehow this phone was switched over to that. So if I was in China, I could walk up to a cell phone carrier and stick a SIM card in and it would work, supposedly. I really don't know that I trust Verizon enough after as much has gone on to try that, or otherwise I would have sold it in China already, just put it up on eBay. Took it back to Verizon. I was accused of stealing the phone. I was accused of flashing the phone. They kept on taking me in this endless loop. Okay, we're gonna reboot your phone. Okay, now that didn't work. Okay, have you updated your phone? Have you wiped it and updated it? Yes, Apple did that twice. It doesn't work. They told me what was wrong. And of course they say, oh, you're crazy because these are activated. These are universal phones now. We can take them overseas and they will work over there. Yes, but they have it activated for over there and they won't activate it back to the US. However their weird setup works. None of their Verizon employees know what's going on. I get that. I even went to the Verizon store I bought the phone from. They printed out, it was not a direct Verizon, an indirect Verizon store. They printed out the receipt, they gave it to me, had it all laid out there real nice, and I'm like, yes. So, this, see, I didn't steal the phone. It's right here. They're like, oh yeah, we can see it's activated. It was activated on your account too. And I don't understand why the other Verizon employees, these were Verizon employees from their 800 number, didn't think of that. Look it up. It's right there on my account. I had a 5S. It's right there. There's the serial and everything. But I spent 3 solid days trying to get this problem fixed. Like 3 solid days over a period of time. The longest I ever spent on it was probably 7 or 8 hours in one day. Just one solid day. The guy was like, I just sold my phone. I need this phone. And so I went to Verizon store after Verizon store and went to the Apple store and hounded them, and nothing was getting done. And I had to quit because all the places closed at like 9:30 or 10 o'clock, something like that. So I didn't get it done that day. And over the course of time, I've called into Verizon to try to get them to fix what they broke, and they won't. The last person I talked to, I was talking to a you can get a tier 2 advisor and a tier 3 advisor, supposedly both with Apple and with Verizon. The last time I talked to them was the worst. I called Verizon. They sent me around the loop, and then they told me, well, we're going to have to get Apple on the phone. Okay, let's get Apple on the phone so that Apple can tell you what I already know, so that you can switch it over and just fix this damn phone. They call Apple. They get me on the phone. They actually dumped it. They just left. They left me with Apple, and Apple's the guy that I talked to at Apple said, okay, we're going to get this fixed. Let's get you back over to Verizon because it's an activation problem. This is not a hardware issue, which the guys in the Verizon store took the actual phone apart to check the SIM card slot just to make sure the SIM card slot was working, and it was. So Apple calls Verizon. He's like, I'm going to stay on the phone with you, and he did. He didn't say anything, but Verizon went through their spiel, and at the time, I was super tired. End of the day, was just about to get off work, and I was super pissed and been about an hour on the phone. I basically told her, look, if this is an isolated issue, you guys should be wanting my phone to make sure this doesn't happen again. If this was Apple's problem, they would swap out the phone immediately. They would have just swapped it out in the Verizon store. Maybe in the Apple store. That's just what they do. You'd want this phone. You'd want to buy this phone off me. Just check and see what's wrong. But I'm not asking for you to buy the phone off me. All I want is a working phone. Just hand me a 64 gig iPhone 5S and I'll walk away. But no, and she's like, well, I told her, okay, if this is an isolated issue, get your programmers on it. Get somebody on it that knows something, because you guys are phone techs. You're looking at a screen, reading off questions. Oh, well, if this is the problem, then do this. That doesn't work, because I've done that 10 times and it hasn't fixed the problem. I checked all over online at the time. This has been probably a couple, 3 weeks ago. I can't find any mention of anything like this ever happening. There's a few guys online that it's SIM card activation problem of a different type, and they have some workarounds, but some of them are jailbroken. There's just not, and I can't jailbreak the phone now because it's updated to iOS 8. And I actually told Verizon that. I'm like, so you're telling me that the only way to fix this phone is to flash it, so that I can go down to AT&T or whoever and get a SIM card from them, stick it in it, and then it'll work. Is that what you're saying? And they're like, well, we wouldn't want you to do that, but, oh, right. And then I said, but I can't do that because I'm updated to iOS 8. And we all know as soon as an operating system or an iOS system gets updated, jailbreaks and flashes go right out the window. You can't do anything with that for probably 6 months. Usually 6 months before you can install Cydia. At least that's the way it was with iOS 7, if I recall correctly. And by that time, I just didn't care. So if any of you guys have had problems like this, post them below. Share the video with your friends. If there was a guaranteed way that I could pull off a lawsuit over this thing, I sure would, because at least they should be compensating me for all the time I've spent trying to get it fixed. I mean, seriously, 3 days, 3 solid days. I mean, I sat in a Verizon store for like 3 hours. It's the same Verizon store. And the Verizon store couldn't do anything about it, so they had me on the phone with their techs in their store, which sent me on the roundabout. They should be paying me like $13 an hour to sit and talk to their techs about how they broke my phone and they're going to get it working again. But no, I've got to put that time in, and I'm not willing to put that much time in anymore. So I told them that I was putting up a video on YouTube. Here it is, spread it around. If they want it down, they can come talk to me. But really, I don't care right now. It's really starting to piss me off. I can't put any more time into it. Their guys need to put time into it. And when their guys can put time into it and fix it, then we'll talk. I did talk to an Apple tech. The Apple tech that was on the phone with me on the very last phone call, he said, man, they're running you through the ringer, and this is not right. They should be fixing this. I'm like, yeah, fix it. They need to fix it. What he said was, if you can't get Verizon to do what they need to and should do, he said, he gave me his personal number. He said, give me a call and we'll take care of you. We'll get you an iPhone 5S. And that's great. I'm glad that he's willing to do that. I'm just pissed off that Verizon's not, and it's their fault. The only thing that could have changed the phone in any way was inserting a SIM card. And there was a Verizon employee who was like, well, maybe it was a bad SIM card. Okay, when you jailbreak a phone, you do not stick a SIM card in and all of a sudden it's jailbroken. When you flash a phone, you don't stick a SIM card in and it's flashed. There is a process. There's usually a hard, long I used to be a jailbreaker all the way back on the iPhone 4, and it was always a process, and you never knew whether it would work or not. You used to, hold down the button, and maybe it'll start up and reboot. It was only till the later years that we actually could just jailbreak by just, one button click. And even now, those one button clicks sometimes aren't the most updated systems. Sometimes it's like, well, I can't remember the iRain or there's a couple different ones. Oh, well, they came out with the jailbreak first, but you have to push a bunch of buttons and hold a bunch, to get it to do it. But it's there now, instead of having to wait until the guy with the one button click comes out. So there's no way that a SIM card can do that. I'm more than positive. Post your comments below, like, share, and subscribe. And yeah, hopefully Verizon does what they're supposed to do, because this is ridiculous. I'm surprised they could even accuse me of stealing my phone or flashing my phone without getting in trouble. There's a point where, it's sitting on the account. You can see that I've had the iPhone 5S. You can see the serial number. Don't accuse me of stealing my own phone. And plus, there's a watch, apparently. The last Verizon employee I talked to was like, oh, I just looked up your serial number. Your serial number is not on any watch lists. Oh, so if your phone's stolen, you can get on a watch list that basically says, oh, this phone's stolen, so if it comes into a Verizon store, the owner's looking for it. Shouldn't the Verizon employees have checked that first before they accused me of stealing the phone? They accused me of stealing the phone several times. This was several different stores, several different employees. Not cool. Not cool, Verizon. So, yeah, let me know what you guys think, and have a good rest of your week.